Welcome back to another review of the most recent episode of The Walking Dead, The Ones That Live. This is going to be episode 4, titled What We. Now, episode 4, I believe, is the weakest episode that we've seen so far. But again, this is the non-spoiler section, so I can't go into any crazy details. But essentially, my concern is what we got in this episode is going to be completely overwritten by the next episode. And I am concerned that we aren't going to get to kind of meatier plot developments and answers, and then we'll have some holes by the end of the series or season. So that's my concern. I want to make sure that we're wrapping up little things here and not wasting time on things that seem like they may or may not be overwritten in the next episode, as seen by the episode 4 promo trailer. Now, I'll be talking a little bit more about that in the spoiler section, but as far as how I feel about this episode, it's not bad. The writing is fine, but I would probably give this episode a 7. Not because of acting performance or anything like that. It's just, it feels like some of the conversations that were had are unnecessary or one-sided, or people aren't listening to each other, etc., etc. So, if you haven't watched the episode yet, please turn this off and go watch it. We will be having the spoiler section here shortly. But again, I want to clarify, it's not that I didn't like the episode. The episode itself is fine. Just because it is the weakest of the episodes doesn't mean that the show is on a downturn, doesn't mean that it's a bad show. It's just the weakest of the episodes. And sometimes you have to have those weaker episodes to help build up some of the future episodes into a stronger presence. And I'm hoping that that's what this turns out. I just have my fears that I stated earlier. But that being said, still very strong acting performances. The setting in this was different and kind of cool. There were some comedic moments that were amusing, and some relatable parts to Rick's character. As a guy, I can relate to some of the feelings that he had with some of the more comedic parts. So you'll see once you watch it. But it's still worth watching. Definitely watch the episode. Just know that I think next week's episode, at least from the promo, looks like it is going to be a slam dunk of an episode as far as action and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to episode 5 next week. Just this show was a little bit of a letdown. Not bad. Certainly better than the Lord of the Rings show. My word, is it infinitely better than that. This is an ace show. This is an ace episode compared to all of that show. So that being said, turn this off, go watch that, and let's go ahead and head into the spoiler section. Okay, welcome to the spoiler section. So, real quick, again, I feel like this is more of a 7 out of 10 for this episode here, so definitely the weakest. I've given this episode 1 a 10, episode 2 a 9, episode 3 a 9, so this will bring down the average a little bit, coming in at a 7. But I do think that we are building up for the next episode. So the next episode, again, we're in spoiler territory here. If you haven't changed off yet, FYI. But the next episode, it looks like we might see Jadis. It looks like there's going to be a lot that happens. They're being pursued, I'm assuming, by the military that Rick works for now. And it seems like at the very end, Michonne is going to be like, you know what, we do have to go back and we do got to deal with stuff and do that. And I think that would render episode 4 kind of worthless. I feel like they're getting back together, getting on the same page. That could have all been done different instead of then having them have some kind of pursuit issue that they got to deal with on episode 5 to then come back at the end of episode 5, early episode 6, the final episode, to kind of be where they were in the first place. I feel like they could have had those conversations on the way back, or maybe they went out on a mission and had to kill some walkers or whatever, and then they had that kind of heart-to-heart because they got surrounded, kind of like they did in the episode, but then didn't have to waste time being hunted and pursued for Michonne to get on the same page as Rick, to then have to go back to fix it all up and so on and so forth. I'm just worried that we're not going to get a good, meaty conclusion at the end of this, and that this episode 4 is going to take up valuable screen time where we could have actually furthered the overall plot instead of kind of, I guess, dinking off for an episode and then having an episode where they're pursued to just change course and come all the way back. That's my only concern with the episode. I don't dislike the episode per se. I think it's a little frustrating that they both have their opposite, I guess, opinions on the situation, but that she can't understand that Jadis is a problem, that they're gonna find the Alexandrian people and kill them. I don't understand why Michonne, who's very rational and logical, can't get in line with that. She's just being very emotional about this, and I get it to a degree. I do understand it, and I get it, but she needs to put that down, I think, and get on board with Rick. Now, the one thing she was absolutely right about was where Rick's mentality was, where his brain was. And he was kind of defeated, not defeated like he was when Negan took out Glenn and Abraham. That was a different kind of thing, but he explains in the episode, right, about how he was dead. He's dead, right? And now he's coming back to life, and it's hard for him because he's so worried about what could happen to her. And so I understand that, and she knew it, and she picked up on it, knowing him the way she does. And so all of that was valid, and I like all of that. I just wish that she got to where she's going to be at the end of the next episode in this episode faster. That's all I really care about. The logic of it dictates that they're going to have to deal with the problems that are in front of them first. Now, I want to apologize if you hear it in the background. There was a motorcycle outside, and the guy was burning his tires at the light and revving his engine like crazy, just being kind of a butthead, so I apologize if that noise comes through. Yeah, just kind of being silly, but it is what it is. So let's move on, continue talking about The Walking Dead. I do want to mention that the house that they're in, the AI or whatever that's talking to them, is hilarious. I love how it keeps talking about the temperature malfunctioning and this, that, and the other thing, and then eventually Rick just kind of is like, "Oh, shut up!" You know, and I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, yep, that I would have done something very similar. It would have drove me crazy. I like the Roomba. There's a lot in the episode I do like that I found amusing that kind of allowed them to have the nice setting that they needed to work through stuff. And I do think that how they would work through stuff is by going out and saving each other and killing a bunch of zombies and stuff. So all that worked fine for me. I wish I knew a little bit more about the building. We kind of skimmed over it real quick. Maybe some of the advancements or whatever that they've been working on that actually had some practical use, maybe. I know that they didn't have a lot of food, but maybe they came up with something else, a new way of electricity being generated. I don't know. I would have liked maybe a little bit more detail and lore there, but otherwise, I actually liked the setting to some degree and wish I had known more. It was a little convenient that the helicopter crashed, the one that they were in. I would have maybe preferred in the previous episode before they jumped out to have Michonne sabotage it in some way so that it would go down, because she already knew what she was going to do, and or maybe have it just go down because of the weather that they were having, that inclement storm that they were in, but to show them having genuine issues during the flight while they were still on board. Instead, it was just some, it was heavy turbulence, but it's heavy turbulence. It's not the thing being blown off course or anything like that. There was no indications that the pilot was going to struggle that badly. So maybe seeing the one of the rotators flying off or something, I don't know. Just something that made it crash a little bit more. But at the end of the day, that's kind of a picky thing and certainly not the end of the world. That being said, I'm glad that Miss Michonne found a nice thing, a rebar metal stick thingy to go out and be bashing things over the head with. So that's nice that she gets a nice melee weapon that's relatively durable. And, Rick is Rick. He's got his little knife hand, so that's always good. And he saved her under the big chandelier that fell on her. He saved her, and that's nice to see. So there are points in the episode that I really enjoy, but I am concerned with how long it took for them to hash things out. I am concerned with how much screen time that took. I am not a fan that Michonne's character wasn't thinking at all logically, or at least in my mind. I would have preferred to see her... I can't think of it any other way. Just think logically, think factually. They've been around dictator-like aggressors before, so she understands that you've got to deal with the overall problem, right? And it seems a little weird to me that she wouldn't be quick to assist with dealing with that, or at least even come up with the idea of let's do this together instead of just kind of being angry at Rick the whole time. But that's it. That's it for the review. It's It's a 7, I think. Maybe a 7.5. Maybe 7's a little low. Maybe a 7.5. I'll give it a 7.5. And I think the next episode's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to get a lot of action, some stressful moments. I just hope that it doesn't take too long to get back so we can have some resolutions that are well played out, well written, and well acted. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Did you like the episode? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think it's better than what I've said? I don't think it's a 10 by any means, but I could see somebody giving it an 8 or maybe even a 9. But let me know what you guys think. Put it down below. Try to stay out of the spoilers-ish area, but at least to some degree. But otherwise, thanks for hanging out, everybody. I do appreciate you. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like the video. And I will be back talking about this show next week on Sunday when the episode 5 comes out. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, take care.